Hello, tubers! Sometimes I crack myself up. If you don't understand that one, I suggest you go Google the word tuber and we'll go from there. Let me introduce myself. As soon as I quit turning around here and ignoring you, let me introduce myself. My name is Sam Moore. And what are we going to do here? What are we doing here? This is a kind of a new experience for me, but I'll give it a shot. We're going to talk about guitars. That's right, guitars. Specifically, we're going to talk about electric guitars. Now, what qualifies me to do that? What qualifies me to talk about electric guitars? Okay, as you can probably tell, I'm kind of an old guy. I'm also an electronic engineer. I graduated from a major university 40 years ago with a degree in electronics and instrumentation, and have spent over 40 years working in the electrical and electronics industry. So, yeah, I kind of know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about electronics. May not know anything about anything else, but electronics I do know. I'm not what you would call a great guitar player. I can play a little bit, but you don't want to hear me. You don't want to listen to that. I got a dog that'll listen to me. That's about the only person that'll listen to me. And darn if she ain't getting old, so I'm going to lose my audience there too. But anyway, the electronics end of it, I got that. And when we get through with it, you will have it too. Now then, we're going to go through this very slowly. This is not going to be a one-shot deal where you can watch this and 10 minutes from now know everything there is to know about guitar electronics. We're going to go through it very, very slowly. We're going to cover the basics. That is, we're going to talk about resistors. What is resistance? What do resistors do? How do they do it? Why do they do it? And from resistors, we'll kind of slide into potentiometers and variable resistors and all of that fun stuff. And then we're going to talk about capacitors. Exactly what is a capacitor? How does it do its thing? What does it do? Then we're going to talk about coils, electromagnetic coils, inductors, and your pickup in your electric guitar is a coil. It's an inductor with a couple magnets stuck in it. So we'll have to talk about the interaction between magnetic fields and electricity a little bit. Now we're going to do all of this as much as we can without delving into tons and tons and tons of complicated math. We're going to try to keep all the math very simple and very straightforward so that everybody can understand it. Once we've done our basic electronic components, we'll talk a little bit about sound. We'll talk about what is sound. We'll talk about frequencies. We'll talk about amplitudes of sounds. And now it's going to get a little trickier. We're going to talk about Fourier analysis. Again, we're going to try to keep that as simple as we possibly can. Keep the math to a minimum. I'm going to do some computer simulations on the computer back here behind me and show you complex waveforms. Then we'll talk about tone. Exactly what makes up tone. What is our definition of tone? At that point, once we have a basis of tone and we know all the different components and how all of they fit together, we'll talk about the effects of those different components and different elements on the tone of your guitar. And when we're all done, you'll understand why changing this capacitance value will make the tone brighter, why it will make it darker, how changing the resistance in that filter circuit affects the sound. And then maybe you'll be able to customize your guitar and make changes to it and in some method or some way in hopes of actually achieving the results that you want instead of just fumbling around in the dark. Let's talk about a little bit about what we're not going to do. No. We're not going to talk about the difference between transistor amplifiers and tube amplifiers. I have my own opinions on that. Chances are you don't agree with me. Mine are based in science and fact, and a lot of the things that you hear nowadays are based on opinion and what people feel like and what people think and are entirely subjective. So I'm going to try to avoid subjective subjects to where people are just going to get into a big argument. Oh, this is better because this sounds better, and that's better because that sounds better. Right from the beginning, I'm going to tell you, if it sounds better to you, hey, from your point of view, it's better. If the other way sounds better to me, hey, to me, it's better. It doesn't make any difference. Doesn't make any difference in my world, doesn't make any difference in your world. It's just music, man. Yeah, music is important, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, I think that's enough for a quick introduction. Stay tuned. Come back. Click on subscribe, and next time we'll start talking electronics with the very basics. We'll talk about voltage. We'll talk about currents, and we'll talk about resistance. I'll try to keep each post short so that you can sneak them in there and watch them, and not take up your whole day. I know a lot of you have a lot of important things that you have to get to. For now, adios. Tubers. Tubers. I crack me up.